This is a 2022 Honda Civic Type R GT, and in this video I'm going to tell you the cool and interesting things that this car has, take you on a tour and then take you for a drive on tech in the car. But first, some history. The Type R started out in 1997 in the EK9 and it's been massively loved ever since. This FK8 generation is the best yet. It has 320 PS, 316 horsepower, 400 Newton meters of torque, driven by a 6-speed manual transmission with a limited slip differential, front wheel driven as well. This car is amazing to drive, and when we get out on the road, I'll tell you all about it in a little bit. Let's have a look at some of the other features of this car. And I think a good place to start is probably with the wheels, which are right underneath me here. Performance-wise, this car does 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds, which is fantastically fast for a manual transmission car. Remember, this is manual. And part of that appeal of this car is also in the design, which we're going to look at. But let's start with these 20-inch alloy wheels. They are beautiful to look at and massive, and they've got red painted Brembo brakes as well. These are perhaps the nicest wheels I've seen on any car, period, ever. At 1,380 kilograms, this is significantly lighter than the nearest competition. The Focus RS, which unfortunately isn't being made anymore, is quite a bit heavier, and there's nothing else in the class which is comparable. You do need to appreciate how outrageously designed this car is. There are so many vents and spoilers and bits of extra trim that you don't get on any other cars. This is definitely not a car for somebody who wants to fly under the radar. It's really, really eye-catching, especially in this raleigh red color that this particular model is spec'd with. You can see, just looking down the side, we've got this trim here. This is not real carbon fiber, but it looks really cool. Let's not forget this massive, massive rear spoiler, which you actually can't see out the back window when you're in the car driving, because it's actually above the roof line, which is really interesting to note. And then we've got these massive wheel arches, we've got the vents behind the front wheels here, even the mirrors have a cool aerodynamic design, and there's a massive scoop as well at the front there. This car has a lot in common with an aeroplane actually, and that's not even talking about the massive rear wing here. These things here, these are vortex generators. Typically you get those on aeroplanes when the wing is curved up at the end, like you might see on a 787, brand new aeroplane, and they're used to calm the air behind the wing coming out behind the aeroplane so there's less turbulence. Well, that's what they're doing here on this Honda Civic Type R GT. They're calming the air so that when it hits the rear wing, it gives extra downforce. That's pretty cool. Just because you've got a Civic Type R doesn't mean you have to compromise on practicality. This has actually a very large boot storage area, 420 litres, and one of the cool features of this is this sideways boot cover. So you can protect what's inside your car, nobody can see it, and that takes care of the fact there isn't much space, and there's a little cover here as well, which blocks the view from there. Now let's talk rear wings. Yes, I did say wings because there's actually more than one spoiler on the back of this car here. Don't forget, there's your typical Civic spoiler here, and then your massive wing on top, and the aforementioned vortex generators. These rear wings are not just straightforward rear wings. This rear wing on the back here is so massive it actually is attached at an angle and has more bits coming out of the side here, and then it's curved in the middle here as well, so it's not even a straight flat wing that you might expect. There's a lot of detail going on in the bodywork on the Honda Civic Type R. Now a special shout out goes to the rear of this car that looks like it just came from SpaceX, with all the wings and all the vents, and of course at the bottom here we have this absolutely ridiculous triple exhaust pipe. I mean, just look at these insane triple exhaust pipes. I mean, what cars have triple exhaust pipes? Only Ferraris maybe. That is just insane. But it keeps the long heritage of the Type R brand. Here in the inside of the Civic Type R GT, there's a lot of cool things going on. We've got these awesome red sport seats which look incredibly sporty, and they're very, very comfortable. They are very, very low as well, so they're a bit tricky to get in and out of, but you'll get used to them eventually. But they look good and they're comfortable, and they're trimmed in Alcantara and also other materials as well. Likewise with the steering wheel, Alcantara feels amazing with the red and black accents. So some little cool things to note in the car. First of all, there are a lot of Type R logos everywhere. On the outside of the car, down below on the mats, on the seats, it's all over the place. And in the middle here is a badge, a Type R badge, which is numbered. This car is number 36529. So obviously not one of the first cars made, but that's pretty cool. It's got a little badge there to let you know where you are in the production order. And then next to that, we have our mode selector button, which lets you go between comfort, sport, and R mode, which looks really cool and which changes the colors of the dials. They go from white to slightly red to really, really red. And it lets you know that you're definitely in R mode when you need to be. Other cool features of this car, I love the fact there's a little hole here in the center console so you can pass your USB wires through from down here where they actually are plugged in. That's very, very thoughtful. And if you choose a GT package, then you also get wireless charging. And this is cool wireless charging because it actually has a little power button on it and it changes color when you put something on it. So you're actually able to see the status of the charging without looking at your phone or whatever you put on there. So that's pretty cool as well. And then we have this gear knob. Now this gear shifter has got a 40 millimeters gear to gear distance. That means it's super easy to change gears. In fact, this is probably the favorite manual gearbox I've ever driven. It's so easy, so smooth, and you know, other than my leg aching from having to press the clutch because my car is automatic, I wouldn't have any complaints at all about this. This is a really fantastic gear shifter, and it's in a really convenient, easy location to grab as well, which I think is awesome. What about the infotainment system? We've got a 7-inch screen which has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The infotainment system isn't the most advanced. If you want to see a really cool, up-to-date Honda infotainment system, then check out my video on the Honda E, their electric car, which I absolutely loved. However, it does everything you need. It's got built-in navigation if you need it. In the GT trim, which is what this is, you get an 11-speaker premium audio upgrade with 467 watts of audio, music, triumph coming out of these speakers. There's no subwoofer, however, so it does lack a bit of bass, but you do get that extra audio quality if you go to Type R GT. And there are other cool features that you get in the GT as well, including the wireless charging that I've already mentioned. This car is packed with driver safety features. It's got lane assist, adaptive cruise control. It's got everything you could want. And what makes it even cooler is because it's a manual. Most cars with manual gearboxes struggle to have all the latest high-tech driver assistance technology in them. This doesn't. Obviously, the adaptive cruise control will require you to change gears, but if you're on a motorway, sitting on a long journey, you can just hit that button and it will speed up and slow down, and you don't have to worry about keeping your foot on the clutch or changing gear all the time, which I love. In the Honda E, there was an HDMI connector, so you could plug in your games console or whatever you wanted it. There was also a plug. Now, there's no plug in the Type R, but there is an HDMI right around the back here, just like the Honda E. That's pretty cool. This has a pretty unique center console as well for storage. There's a cup holder as you would expect, and there's also another cup holder, but you might notice that you can't get your cup in there. Well, no problem, slide it back, and now you've got 2 cup holders. But what about the storage down under here? No problem. Press this little clip and it lifts up the armrest just like you would expect from a traditional car. There's an extra USB charger in here as well, so you can charge whatever else you have in the car. That's a pretty unique glove box and cup holder arrangement, and it's trimmed in Alcantara as well, so it feels very nice. We should talk about the start-stop button. When you get in the car, it glows white. It's encouraging you to press it, and then when you do press it, it turns red and it stays red, just to match the interior of this car. That is a cool start-stop button. I haven't seen any which change color when you press them and encourage you like that to press them. Here in the back of the Civic Type R, there's a ton of space. I've got a good 6 inches between me and the seat in front. This slimline fake carbon fiber back looks really good, but it benefits of not taking up much space. And this car has a lot of space. I'm quite upright. But if you think about this car, this is meant to be a hot hatch. Actually, its size is more like a small saloon, and its design, the way it works, is more like something like an Audi A7 Sportback, because there's a ton of space back there and it's deceptively large inside. Let's look at the front of the Civic Type R GT. Well, I really love the headlights. They're full LED. They're very reminiscent of the Honda NSX, their top of the range car. And of course, this engine is really nicely packaged with this fake carbon fiber cover. But what is really unique and interesting here is this plaque. It says Earth Dreams Technology. Well, we know this is a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder making 316 horsepower. So it's hardly designed for the environment. So this is just a cool little plaque. And Honda is all about dreams, as we know, but it's fun. I haven't seen an engine which has a plaque which says it's dreaming of the Earth before. This is a 320 PS, 316 horsepower, 400 Newton meter Honda Civic Type R. Although actually I would describe this more as a sportback because it has a hatchback and it has space like a small saloon in the back. This is very much a sports car, just forgetting about the extravagant design on the exterior, forgetting about all the wings and all the fake carbon fiber, forgetting about the massive wheels for 1 second, because I'll come back to the wheels in a minute. This car drives like a sports car. The steering is very, very precise, and there's a definite change in the feeling when you go from comfort to sport to Type R mode, in which case it gets really, really heavy, the steering. As well as a precise steering, which really turns into the corners. You can't feel the road, but you definitely know where you're going. And to be fair, I've never driven a car where I can feel the road, unless you're, I guess, driving a Ferrari or something. But the other thing which impresses me a huge amount is the suspension on this car. I mean, really, this has got 20-inch wheels, and the suspension is way better over bumps than my Audi is. I mean, honestly, if you're comparing it in the compact class, which is what this car and the Audi that I have are in, you have to say the suspension on this is much better. My Audi has adaptive suspension on the RS3, previous generation 8V A3 series, but still, this is just so much better. And it's on 20-inch wheels, it's on larger wheels, and yet the suspension is so much better. I'm not afraid of potholes in this car. Don't get me wrong, you want to stay clear because the tire walls are very, very thin and you're more likely to get punctured with a thinner tire wall, but the bumps don't scare me. I can go over them and I'm not shaken like I've been on a roller coaster ride or something. It's much, much, much more comfortable and much, much more enjoyable to drive overall. And then you add in all the assistance features, the adaptive cruise control, the lane assist. You add these features in and, you know, despite being a manual car, I'm still able to have the latest safety and drive on long journeys on the motorway without having to worry about changing gears and keeping an eye on my speed more than you would responsibly be doing anyway. It makes longer journeys a lot more enjoyable, and it makes driving this car a lot more enjoyable. Then you add on these super comfortable sport seats, the really, really nice feeling Alcantara steering wheel, and you know, this is a really good car for the amount of money it costs, which is in the mid 30,000s. I can't think of anything which is better value than this. Yes, okay, we've got this outrageous design, which some people will love and some people will hate. But even if you hate that outrageous design, you should drive this car. You should try this car and see how it feels. You know, this makes me really excited for the next generation of Civic Type R, because it will be even better than this. And this is already really, really good. Honestly, this is better to drive than my Audi. And I love my Audi. So I can see people easily fall in love with the Honda Civic Type R. Really, really easily. Okay, let's see what it's like in different modes. So let me try and accelerate in comfort. And in comfort, it feels a lot more hesitant, it'd be fair to say. If I put it into sport, everything turns red. And immediately I feel a lot more quicker acceleration and the steering. And the steering is much heavier. And then if I go into the R mode, now I can hear some noise from the engine. So the modes do make a difference. I haven't noticed anything in terms of suspension, but in terms of steering and acceleration and how responsive the throttle is, it definitely does make a big difference. But, you know, what's great about this car is, like I said already, the suspension. It's just, you know, it's amazing. It doesn't feel like you're going over big bumps, and it makes a road feel like there aren't as many there. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the suspension of this car is like in a 5 Series or in an SUV. It's still lets you feel the bumps, but they don't shake your head. And that's what I love about this car. That and the precise steering. It just, like I said, for the price, this is unbelievably good value. I really enjoyed driving the Honda Civic Type R GT. It was a lot of fun, and I suggest you try one out if you're after a hot hatch. So what's my tick in the car score? Well, comfort 4 out of 5. Despite the fact this sits on 20-inch alloy wheels, it's incredibly comfortable. I hardly feel the bumps in the road or the potholes. For connectivity, I give this 3 out of 5. It's got Android Auto, it's got Apple CarPlay, but it doesn't have anything extra and above that in terms of being able to connect to it remotely. So it doesn't quite get the marks there, but it's still got the stuff that you need inside the car. In terms of parking, I give it 4 out of 5. It's got a reversing camera, it's got parking sensors, you can see where everything is. It's a bit tricky sometimes to judge where the rear wing is, but the rear wing shouldn't create any problems when parking. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. What about economy? For economy, this car gets 3 out of 5. It's not an electric car, it's not a hybrid, but it is a 4-cylinder petrol. So it's not doing too badly. In terms of miles per gallon, it averages out about 31 to 35 mpg, which is a lot better than I would have expected. So that is really good. So you're not buying a car which is gonna be super thirsty and drain all your petrol if you buy a Civic Type R. For driving assistance, I give this 4 out of 5. It's got adaptive cruise control, lane assist, emergency braking, it's got everything. The only reason why it doesn't get a 5 out of 5 here is because it is a manual, and so you do have to change gear if you're using the ACC. For value, this car gets 5 out of 5. The GT starts at £34,820. This car, Rally Red, is £850. So the total price of this car is £35,670. That's amazing value for a performance car like this. I strongly suggest if you're after a performance hatchback, check out a Civic Type R. Hope you found this video helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe for more. Any questions, let me know down below.